Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last session in our summer webinar series. This summer, we've done some fun ones, but we're going to be ending with college productivity tips. But you won't have to miss us for long because we will be back in the fall with a whole series of webinars that are already available on our events page. Also, if you like today's session, you might like the one we did last summer called College Prep Tips, which you can find on our YouTube page. It has similar information to what we're covering today, but it is going to include some things like note taking, which we will not be discussing today. And since you signed up for today's webinar, a recording will be sent to all registrants after the event sometime this afternoon. And we will also have a chance for questions, both recorded and unrecorded. So I am Megan Kowalski. I am the Outreach and Reference Librarian for the UDC Library, and I'm going to be walking you through today's session. So first, we're going to start with looking at how to prepare for the semester, followed by some strategies and best practices you might want to try, tips for helping you find your focus, and while you're doing all of this productive work, looking at how you can balance work, school, and life. And then we're going to wrap up with a look at various support services you have available at UDC before we get to the Q&A. So it may seem like busy work at first, but putting in early planning and organization can really help you be productive during the semester. And so, first tip is to use a calendar. I know this seems obvious, but you'd be surprised by how many people don't think about it because when you're using a calendar, it keeps you organized and ready to go. And the academic calendar in particular is important because it shows you the big dates and events, things like add drop and when grades are due. And usually when grades are due is when professors say, nope, this is a firm deadline. I need everything. The academic calendar will also include things like holidays and closures, so you don't come to campus when you don't have to. It can also give you a sense of the rhythm of the semester. When are the exam periods? When do you know you need to study and when might it be a little bit quieter? And so you can know the biggies, but then you can also plan ahead for some extracurricular events. UDC has a formal academic calendar, which is available on the main UDC website, as well as an informal events calendar for more of the fun things in life. And you should also schedule items from your life. Literally build in work events, caregiving events, fun events, anything you've got going on, simply because this way you know where you're going and what you have coming up. And so find a schedule system or a calendar that works for you. The most common is a digital calendar, but you could also use a print calendar or a bullet journal or really any other system where you can track what you need and include everything. The obvious items are classes, when they meet, assignment and project deadlines, if you work, any hours you have there, caregiving responsibilities, doctor's appointments, anything you've got going. The less obvious things you might want to consider putting on your calendar are things like commute time and dedicated study time, extracurricular activities, group hangouts, leisure time, or even hours at the gym. Anything you need and want to block out time for should probably end up on your calendar. An organization like a calendar is one of the most underrated tools for productivity. If your stuff is a mess, digitally or physically, it's harder to focus, plan, and get things done. So you want to organize both your digital and your physical spaces. And because productivity starts with clarity, clutter on your desk or your desktop can give you some mental noise that'll make it hard to focus. So streamline both of your spaces to aim to reduce the number of decisions you have to make when you sit down to work. The less you have to filter through, the faster you can get to what you need to focus on. You might also want to consider setting up something like cloud storage on Google Drive, or if you want to use your university account that comes with Microsoft OneDrive. Consider creating a folder for each class. So you could have like a master folder for the semester and then subfolders for each class so everything goes in there. And the benefits of this, if you use cloud storage, is you have access to your files from any device. You also won't lose your work due to a laptop crash or a lost USB drive. It also makes it easier to share group work and collaborate in real time. When you're setting this up, consider having naming conventions. So you have a folder for each class, and then within it, you can be like, okay, lecture 3 notes, lecture 4 notes, or assignment 1 draft, assignment 2 final, things of that nature. This will help you stay organized and find things easier if you need to do searching. You're going to want to create folders for your lecture notes, your assignments. A lot of the times you'll be given digital handouts or readings, and you can keep them in there as well. Try to keep your materials sorted by type. This will just make it easier for you to find things. If you like physical things, try to color code those folders so that every single class is one specific color. If you love office supplies like I do, this is a great excuse to visit a stationery or office supply store and find the things that speak to you that keep you organized. Say it's an accordion folder for the semester, and each class has a tab. You can also use apps like Notion, Evernote, or OneNote, collect and sort materials if you prefer that sort of all in one workspace. When it comes to studying, you're going to want to designate a distraction free study zone. Choose a space with good lighting, minimal distractions, and all of your supplies within reach. It's a good idea not to work where you relax simply because you might be distracted and think, I can take a break right now, because your brain needs these physical cues to help you focus. So if you're studying on your bed, that can be a little difficult because you might end up taking a nap instead. But sometimes that's your only option. So maybe set up like a portable desk you can put on your bed so you can be like, now I'm in work mode. Another tip is to create a portable study kit. So things like a notebook, your chargers, your pens, your headphones. So it's always in reach and ready to go if you want to take it to, say, a coffee shop or even the library. And productivity doesn't just happen, it's something you build through routines and intentional planning. So let's talk about how you might want to structure your days in the overall semester so that you can stay on track without burning out. So, the first thing you're going to want to consider is mapping out your weekly routine. Start with your fixed commitments like your classes and your work shifts and your appointments, then plug in study sessions, meal times, downtime, and any personal obligations. You might also want to include transition time because we all know that Metro can be a disaster some days. And then you're going to want to determine, looking at that calendar, when do you have high focus times for studying or getting work done? So ask yourself, when do I feel most alert and most focused? If you're a morning person, consider getting up early and scheduling hard tasks before lunchtime. If you're a night owl and you like to work best after everyone's gone to bed, save that time for later in the evening to get work done. Match your most demanding task to those peak work hours because it's matching your energy with what needs to get done. You're also going to want to build in rest, meals, and buffer time, because your brain needs this fuel and it needs breaks to stay sharp. So don't schedule yourself so tightly that you can't breathe. Leave space for life to happen because we all know stuff comes up. You're also going to want to make a semester long plan. So at the start of the semester, look at all of your syllabi and mark down your major assignments and their due dates, when midterms and finals are, and any group projects and presentations you have to be aware of. Use a calendar view to see your busy weeks in advance. A lot of the calendars, things like Google Calendar, you can look at, a single day, but you can also look at a week, a 2 week period, and a month. So you can see, okay, this week is incredibly busy. Maybe I shouldn't put anything else extra into that. And then identify your major academic milestones and personal goals. So, some examples might be you want to finish a big paper, you might want to raise your overall GPA, apply for an internship, or you just might want to stay consistent with your sleep. And then keep those goals visible on your wall, in your planner, on a lock screen, just as a reminder of what you're working towards. I know one student who puts their goals for the weeks on a Post-it note and sticks it to their laptop screen. There's also digital Post-it notes where you can do the same thing. Then as you go, celebrate your small wins to help you stay motivated. For these semester-long plans, you're also going to want to see where those large projects are so that you can break them down into manageable phases. So use the backward planning method. Start with the due date and work in reverse to set smaller deadlines. So if you've got a research paper and you know it's due at the end of the semester, break it into things like, okay, I need to choose a topic, I need to collect sources. I need to outline the paper. I need to draft the paper. I need to revise the paper. And then I need to submit the final paper and put those 6 deadlines on your calendar. So you're working backwards and you're meeting little goals along the way. Some of your professors might even scaffold the assignment with those mini deadlines ahead of time, and you'll know that by reading the syllabus. And then at each phase in your calendar, so you're not cramming at the last minute, make sure you have alerts. So if you know you have like big paper coming up, set an alert 2 weeks in advance. So you know, okay, I have these 2 weeks to work on this paper. And then as the semester gets gearing up, because we do start in 2 weeks, it's hard to imagine. Consider doing a trial run. You need to know where your classes are and what they look like. So, when is the class? What days of the week? What time of the day? Where is the class? Is it online or is it physically in person? If you're on campus, what building is it in? What floor is it on? Because UDC can be a little bit confusing to navigate for the first time. So don't be afraid to ask for directions. You can literally walk around and try to find your classroom on campus. That way, when the first day of class comes, you know right where you're going. If you're online, you can click the links, explore the Blackboard, try to find everything and orient yourself ahead of time. Because once you get that sense of orientation and where you're going, it's easier to be prepared and really dive into the semester with a running start. Um, you know, when you're considering doing these trial runs, it also gives you a sense of how long something takes. So if you have 2 classes back to back, how long does it take you to get from one class to the other? Do you have time for a bathroom break or to get a snack? You can know these things ahead of time. I once saw a student carrying around a stopwatch, literally clocking how long it took to get from one campus to the other. Luckily, UDC is not that big of a campus. You never know. It's always a good thing to check out. And another reason you might want to do a trial run is it gives you a sense for the class your class might be in. What does the desk look like? Is it big? Do you prefer to sit in the back or the front? If you have glasses, do you need to worry about glare? So it gives you an idea of, okay, let's be prepared ahead of time. And then syllabus is provided for each class. It is one of the most important documents. So, read it. It's a contract course essentially, and you can often find these in Blackboard. They may get emailed to you. If your class is in person, you may get a physical copy. However you get this syllabus, make sure you read it, because on the syllabus, it includes things like policies, both at the university and course level. So things like the grading policy, the professor's absence policy, plagiarism, the academic honesty policy, all of that is built in there. Also on there will be requirements, what books are required, what software, what tools might you possibly need. It should also include your graded assignments and projects and how much each of those are worth over the course of the semester. It should also include your readings and when you need to read specific articles or book chapters by. It'll have deadlines, and many syllabuses also include support services and contact information. A lot of professors share both their personal and work contact information on there and their office hours if you want to meet them in person. So when you get the syllabus, read it from start to finish, because some professors build in Easter eggs for extra points, and you don't want to miss out on extra credit simply because you didn't read the syllabus. And as the semester progresses, if you ever have a question for the professor, before you ask them, go back to the syllabus. Usually the answer is in there. If it's not, then you can go ahead and ask your professor. And then productivity isn't about doing everything. It's about doing things consistently. And that's where habits come in. So try to develop consistent daily and weekly routines, because these routines help reduce decision fatigue and they build momentum as you work. So focus on consistency over perfection, because missing a day won't break you. Getting sick isn't going to ruin your semester. Just try your best. And it's best to start small and then build in a 5-minute habit that sticks, then try to massively overhaul your routine in one go and then quit in 2 days. So start small, build momentum, and work from there to build these habits. And consider having morning and evening routines to help you create some structure in your life. So for your morning routine, that could include things like checking your calendar, checking your class schedule, reviewing your to-do list, scanning emails or Blackboard announcements for any urgent changes, and obviously eating breakfast and drinking some water or coffee. Your evening routine could include reflecting on what you've accomplished that day, adjusting your to do list for the following day, and winding down with something non academic like reading, journaling, having a screen break, whatever it is that makes you happy. And a pro tip is to glance at your class syllabi or upcoming deadlines once a week just to avoid any surprises that you might have missed. And then when you're doing that review, consider making it a time to plan and reflect. So set aside 15 to 30 minutes once a week. Sunday evenings work really well because there are no classes on Sunday, and you can look back at what you've completed and what you didn't get done. And then you can ask yourself, okay, what worked well this past week and what can I adjust for next week? You can also look ahead again to those major assignments and exams to make sure you're building in enough time. You might also want to consider building a daily top 3 habit to help you stay focused on your priorities. So each morning or the night before, write down your top 3 tasks for the day. And these are the things that will make the biggest impact on your day or are time sensitive. And having 3 simple things to focus on keeps you feeling in control, less overwhelmed by a very long to-do list. Plus, it can also help you build momentum and motivation because you'll feel accomplished even if your day goes sideways because, hey, I got my top 3 done. And then you might want to also consider habit stacking. And this is where you attach a new habit to something you already do. So say, after I eat breakfast, I'll open my planner and check my schedule for the day. So breakfast is the first habit. You do it already. You're adding on checking your schedule every day. And then these strategies help make your habits more automatic and less effortful. And once you get used to them, okay, now you just do it. And then you can add one more thing on top of that. It also helps if you connect a habit to something you enjoy. I once knew a student who's like, I have to work out. I love working out. While I'm on, warming up on the elliptical, I'm going to read one article that was assigned in class. So she paired working out with a class assignment. And another habit you could also consider is something like, okay, after each class, this is what I'll do. And so, I'll review my to-do list and put things in my calendar right there before I even leave the classroom. And this can help keep deadlines and, next steps fresh in your mind. It prevents small tasks from piling up and falling through the cracks. And it builds in a natural rhythm to your day, class, process, plan, class, process, plan. And once you do it, it becomes ingrained and it becomes a habit. And so, one key skill to have for an effective college experience is time management. And this skill is essentially the ability to use your time productively to get things done. And so, time management is not one size fits all. The format you use to plan your time needs to fit how your brain works, and the right tool is the one you will actually stick with. And so, identify your preferred planning format. Are you a visual person who likes to write things down? Do you live on your phone or computer? Do you need reminders and automation? Or does physically doing something help you remember something? There's no right answer. So try, a few different options and see what feels good to you to use regularly. So some digital tools for helping with time management are Google Calendar. This is great for blocking out class time, study sessions, work shifts, appointments. It syncs across all your devices, and it's great because you can set recurring events and reminders, and you can use color-coded things for different areas of your life. So for example, I have my work calendar in the color gray. I have my calendar with my husband that we share in red, and my daughter's calendar that's built into there is purple. So I know at a glance what's going on simply by the colors. Another great digital tool is Notion, and this is a customizable workspace used for planning, note-taking, task tracking, and project management. It's essentially a productivity dashboard all in one. You can even create specific class dashboards or semester plans and weekly to-do lists all in one place. And they also have templates to help you get started. So if you Google Notion College, you're going to get a bunch of options. Another great tool is Todoist. It's simple. It's an intuitive task manager with due dates, recurring task, and project categories. And this is great for daily task lists and tracking assignments. Some, Physical analog methods you could try, and I'm a big fan of the first one, is the bullet journal. And this is a flexible system using a blank notebook with a combination of symbols, lists, and logs. And it lets you combine planning with reflection, note taking, and creativity in one place. This is good for people who like structure, but also want the physical freedom to change things up as they go. Plus, if you get a sense of satisfaction from physically writing things down, this can be a good one for you. There's also pre-made paper planners. There's some with daily and weekly layouts, which can help with scheduling and prioritizing. And again, physically writing something down can actually help you with memory and focus. Some planners also include goal tracking or wellness check-ins if you would like to build that into your system. Another thing you might want to consider is time tracking, and this is for both awareness and accountability. If you're not sure where your time goes, time tracking can be a huge eye opener. I personally, for work, use the app called Toggle. And this is simple and user friendly time tracker where you literally put in what you're doing and hit a timer. And when you're done, you stop the timer. And you can see over the course of time how long something takes. And that can give you a good idea for future planning as well. Another good one is Clockify. And again, this is good for categorizing time by, say, class, activity, or project. The benefits of doing time tracking is you see how long something really takes. You might think it's an hour, but then once you sit down to do it, oh, that took 3. I was not expecting that. You can also identify time wasters or overcommitments, being like, oh, I spent way too much time scrolling through Instagram when I thought I was working. And so this can help you create more realistic schedules going forward. And I just want to note you don't need to use all the tools. Pick 1 or 2 to test for a few weeks and then readjust based on what's working for you. And I know we already covered this a bit, but scheduling is a huge part of productivity. Once you know what you need to do and how you'd like to plan, it's time to actually schedule your tasks. And the goal is to stay ahead of your deadlines and not chase them or be rushing to get things done the night before. So, again, have deadlines and work backwards. Start with the due date and reverse engineer your schedule for all of your assignments. Break your larger assignments into smaller, manageable steps, and then add each step to your calendar or your planner so you're not trying to do it all the night before. You can also build in cushion time. This is for that just in case stuff that crops up. Does your laptop break? Did you get sick? Are you just tired and not feeling it? Because we've all been there. Adding in that cushion time can help you be like, okay, this is still due in a week. I have a day or two of cushion in case something goes wrong. And then try to aim to finish those big assignments at least a day or two early, because then that gives you an extra chance to, sit with it. Do I like it? Am I happy with it? But it also means, hey, I'm done. I'm done a little early. And that can be helpful when you need to submit your assignment and feel less stressed. In your scheduling, again, try to do a weekly preview, review your class schedule, your deadlines, look ahead to what's going on. And having this weekly preview can help you reduce anxiety. And it also sets a proactive tone for your week. It's also a great time to reschedule anything that may have slipped through from the week before, or say, oh, I was supposed to have a doctor's appointment. I need to reschedule it. It helps you reduce that guilt you might feel and just readjust your life as necessary. And sort of think of scheduling like GPS. It's not about perfection. It's about knowing where you're going and having a plan if you hit traffic or if you need to detour because the road is closed. And so here are some methods you can try. The first one is the Eisenhower matrix. And this is a good one to do at the start of the semester when you're like, okay, this is everything on my plate right now. And make a list of everything, big, small, mindless, important, rare, frequent, whatever it is, put everything on there. And then put everything you do into a box. You can do this just for school or just the office or just your personal life or all of it at the same time. And then evaluate everything in these boxes. Follow through on scheduling things, delegating and deleting. This works best if you do this on a schedule, say weekly, monthly, quarterly. Some people do it yearly. It helps you focus on your priorities. And it also means you stop holding on to the trash in your life. Like some things just don't need to be done. If it's in the delete category because it's not important and not urgent, don't worry about it. That's just not something you need to worry about right now. Another method is the getting things done. And this is by David Allen. There's a big book about this website, tons of quick resources online. And this is kind of the granddaddy of productivity workflows, and it's a 5-step process. So the first one is capture. What has your attention? Literally write it down. The second is clarify. Process what this means. Is it actionable? Yes, no. Is this something you need to work on? Why is this capturing your attention? And then organize. Put it where it belongs. Is this something that you need to just delete? Is it a reference you need to save for later? Is it something you need to do now? Is it a big project you need to break up? Figure out what you need to do with that. And then reflect, review frequently. Go back and be like, okay, did that need to get done? Did the deadline move? Whatever it is. And then engage. Simply do. Basically, the rule of this is if it's only 2 minutes, just do it. We all do it. We put off those tasks and then eventually, it's needling our head. In fact, there's something called the needle list. And we're like, okay, we're finally going to get around to doing this. And you're like, why did I put that off? It took 30 seconds. And so if it takes 2 minutes or less, just go ahead and do it. So it's off your list and you don't need to worry about it. The next method is time blocking. And this is literally where you schedule every single moment of your day, including your sleep, your eating, your commuting, your breaks, your errands, workouts, fun, family, all manner of work. Basically, you put it all into a calendar. This gives you focus and encourages prioritization because if you don't want to do it or you can't schedule it, why is it on your list? Or you can consider, can I delegate to someone else or do I just delete it outright? It also means when you do this time blocking, it forces hard stops on things. Like if your calendar says you have 20 minutes to do this, you stop at 20 minutes and that's it. And this is a great method to schedule back-to-back things and claw back time when you need deep focus work. Sometimes this is called defensive calendaring because by filling up your calendar, people can't force things into it that you don't want there. And so consider doing this for those really busy weeks, midterm week, finals week, or a week where you might have 3 or 4 assignments due. This way, you know where everything is and when it's due, and no one else can shove something into your calendar that you don't. Another method is called Kanban, and this is visualized project management. You put everything you want to do, you are doing, or have done on boards that show you the status of where you are at. This is highly adaptable. It's also forced transparency because you just see it on a board. And it also can help you uncover bottlenecks, like why is this not moving from the to-do to the doing board? And so this way you'd be like, okay, if this is sitting here in to do and I know I need to do it, what's in the way on the doing board that I can get off my plate and move it to the done category? And this works great with things like Trello. Trello even has a Kanban setup and walkthrough, so you can learn more about this. It also works well on a whiteboard or on a wall with some Post-it notes, whatever works for you. And the last one I want to talk about today is just a simple one. It's 5 minutes. What one thing, step, idea, or task will only take you 5 minutes to do? Then do it. And the reason you do this is it starts the ball rolling. This can help with procrastination because once you start something, even if it doesn't take 5 minutes, you are likely to finish that step in the project. This is great for work or personal life. If I take 5 minutes to pick up my kid's toy, it might keep me going until her whole room is put back together. So this is a great one if you're like feeling stuck and you're like, I just need to do something. Pick one task, 5 minutes. You can even set a timer. And then you have permission after those 5 minutes to just be done. But at least you did one thing. And now, once you have all of these ideas, it's about finding your focus to being in the right space to get some work done. So let's be honest, everyone procrastinates sometimes. It's totally normal. Key is to understanding why it's happening so you can respond with the right strategy instead of just feeling stuck or guilty that you're not getting things done. So procrastination is often a symptom. It's not actually a real problem. And the common causes include, well, fear is the first one. Fear of failure, judgment, not doing something perfectly. Perfectionism can make it hard to even start because you're like, well, why would I do this if I'm going to fail already? So, that's one cause. Another is overwhelm. A task feels too big or too complicated, so your brain wants to avoid it. And since you don't know where to start, why would you start at all? And another one is you're just feeling low energy and a lack of motivation. You might be physically tired. You might be emotionally drained. mentally scattered because you've got so much going on, and you might genuinely need the rest and don't feel like you have any more effort to give. Again, this is normal. Everyone experiences procrastination at some point. Students, professors, even productivity experts get that. And beating yourself up will only make it worse. So try curiosity for yourself instead of criticism. So ask yourself, why am I avoiding this? Pinpoint what that is. And then ask, what's one small step I can take to get moving? Normalizing procrastination can also help reduce shame, which makes it easier to get things done. You're not lazy. You're likely dealing with just some internal resistance, and everyone has it. So notice when you feel these moments of procrastination and don't judge it. Just be like, why is this happening? And figure out the reason why. And then you can put a plan in place to overcome procrastination. So now that we've talked about why procrastination happens, let's look at some tools and techniques that can help you push through it and stay focused. And this is especially useful when your motivation is feeling low. And the first one, and one I personally use, is the Pomodoro technique. And basically, you set a timer for 25 minutes to focus on one task only, whether that's working on a paper, cleaning up a room, cleaning out your email, whatever it is, pick one task. We're monotasking here. And then when your 25-minute timer ends, take a 5-minute break. Stand up, stretch, grab some water. A 25-minute session is called a Pomodoro. And so after 4 Pomodoros, after 4 25-minute sessions, take a longer break, 15 to 30 minutes. And the reason this works is it's great for building momentum on tough tasks. It can also help you manage mental fatigue, and it prevents burnout from, say, doing a study session too long. And there are lots of timers, Pomodoro apps like Focus Keeper. There's something called Marinara Timer and something called Pomo Focus with these built-in timers, or you can just use your phone, whatever works for you. But the reason this is good is you're like, hey, I've got 25 minutes. 25 minutes seems manageable, and then you get a break. And as I mentioned earlier, the 5-minute rule to get started. Tell yourself, I only have 5 minutes to do it. Just getting started is the hardest part. Again, set a timer, and this is effective for overcoming that task paralysis or sense of perfectionism because 5 minutes, we've all got 5 minutes. And this is great for tasks you're dreading or ones that you've built up in your head because once you get started, again, as I mentioned earlier, you're likely to just keep going. You might also want to consider all of the apps and website blockers that are out there. So when it comes to procrastination, if distractions are your biggest focus challenge, try some tools that can, get in your way on purpose. Forest is an app that keeps you off your phone by growing a virtual tree. So the longer you focus, the bigger the tree gets. Freedom is an app that blocks distracting websites for a specific time. So if you know you're going to be on TikTok, you can use Freedom to block that while you're trying to get work done. Cold Turkey is another app. It's more hardcore. It lets you block access to sites or even your whole computer if you're trying to stay off of that. And you can use these during classes if you get distracted by your phone in class, during study blocks, or just when you need to concentrate. Some of these apps give you stats or streaks to help increase your motivation. And these tools are kind of like training wheels. They help you build discipline and focus, but they're not a cure-all. So pair them with some self-awareness and planning, and they become even more powerful because if you're like, okay, I'm going to use the Pomodoro method to get through this procrastination, and now that I know I focused on that, it just helps you keep going. And so it's nearly impossible to focus if your environment is full of distractions. So set yourself up for focus by removing the things that compete for your attention. And the biggest one here is to turn off all non-essential notifications. Pings from your text, your apps, your emails, or whatever it is, train your brain to react to whatever that ping is instead of staying focused on what you need to work on. So turn off notifications for social media, group chats, and any non-urgent apps during your study time. Most phones also have a do not disturb mode that you can use while studying. And it can be helpful to keep your phone physically out of sight because if it's nearby, you might be tempted to pick it up. So put it in another room, put it in your bag, just keep it physically away from you. Some people I know just turn it off completely and had a friend stick it in the freezer when she wanted to study. She's like, nope, now I know it's in there. You can also use noise canceling headphones or ambient sound, depending on how you like to work. Headphones help create a personal, focus bubble, especially in shared spaces. If you come to visit the UDC library, we do have noise blocking headphones that you can borrow. If you don't like, complete silence, you can use something like white noise or an ambient playlist or instrumental music to block out distractions. You can go to lo-fi beats, classical music playlists, or apps like Noisily. Some will even help you build your own soundscape. So if you're like, I focus really well on a rainy day, but it's perfectly sunny out, there are plenty of websites out there that can play rainy stuff in the background. And it can be helpful to avoid music with lyrics if you're working or reading, because those words will compete with the words you were either trying to read or write. So do consider that. If you're, someplace with a door, close it. If you're at home, closed door is a physical and social sign that you are in focus mode. There's a reason we all close the door to go to the bathroom. You can also let your roommates or your family know when you need to have an uninterrupted study time, and you might not even want to consider putting a studying in progress on your door. Back when I was in college and in a shared suite style, I used to put a giant sign on my door that said what I was doing and how long I didn't want to be bugged. And I made it bright red so you couldn't miss it. If closing a door isn't an option, that does happen. Headphones are again creating a quiet corner, like building up a pillow wall, can create those similar sense of physical boundaries. You can also go somewhere else. A change of environment can do wonders for your focus. At the library, we have both group and individual study rooms. There's also private, quiet campus corners you can sneak into. Well, not sneak into, you can just go to. And coffee shops with low noise levels are another good way to go. Sometimes the act of going somewhere to study can help your brain switch into work mode. And if you have a few go to study spots, it helps because then you don't get stuck in a rut and you can rotate through based on what you need that day. Distraction management is really about protecting your attention. You're not just blocking things out, you're creating space to actually do your best work. So, with everything you have going on with this productivity, it can be hard to find balance between school, work, and life. And so, being productive doesn't mean working nonstop. To maintain your energy and motivation, it's crucial to set limits to protect your well being and to avoid burning out. Because once you burn out, it really slows things down. So, set realistic limits. Recognize your personal capacity. Working too many hours or working on one thing too much isn't sustainable. So, try to avoid that all or nothing mindset. Productivity actually includes rest and recovery. It's what athletes have. They have rest days. So monitor your energy levels and know when to slow down before exhaustion sets in. You also want to build in downtime and social time into your schedule. Schedule breaks, hobbies, exercise, social activities, whatever it is, just like you schedule classes or work. So you have those breaks coming, because downtime is essential for both mental clarity and creativity and emotional resilience. It actually helps you work better. Social time can help you recharge because you're connecting with friends and family, and this can improve your focus when you return because you're like, okay, I've had that time. And remember, balance doesn't mean equal hours every day. It does mean a sustainable rhythm over time. So if you've had one really hard day, maybe the next day, don't work so hard. Build in a little bit of extra rest time. And you also need to learn to say no or not right now. It's okay to turn down extra commitments or events or favors if your plate is already full. Practice polite but firm ways to set boundaries without guilt. I've actually done this just looking in the mirror. And saying no is not selfish. It's an important skill for managing your time and energy. And it's really important once you enter the workforce as well. So consider prioritizing what aligns with your academic goals and your personal well being. Say yes to the things that align with those goals and no or not right now to everything else. And think of these limits as a form of self respect. You're valuing your health and productivity by protecting your time. And taking care of your body and mind is also foundational to staying productive. Small daily wellness habits can boost your focus, reduce stress, and improve your overall experience. And so consider daily movement, breathing, mindfulness, or journaling. Movement, light exercises like walking, stretching, or yoga helps physically reduce tension, which can improve your mental clarity. Breathing exercises, simple deep breathing or guided breath work, plenty of apps out there, can help again calm anxiety, improve concentration. Mindfulness or meditation helps you stay present in the moment and reduces the sense of overwhelm because it brings your mind back to this is what I'm focused on right now. And journaling can help you reflect on your day, set intentions, or process the stress that you might be feeling. It can be a powerful tool for mental organization because it helps you get your thoughts in order. You might also want to consider time away from screens before bed. The light from our phones and our laptops and tablets can actually interfere with our natural sleep cycle. So aim to disconnect 30 minutes before or longer if you can. Try some calming activities like reading a physical book, some stretching, listening to soothing music, or some people just lie in bed and do a body scan. It's literally where you sit and you just think, okay, how is my body feeling right now? And that can ease you into sleep. And good sleep hygiene supports memory consolidation, mood, and energy for the next day. If you're not sleeping, you're not at your best self. So always pay attention to your sleep. And then be aware of your energy patterns and structure your day accordingly. Again, everyone has natural peaks and valleys in energy and focus throughout the day. So pay attention to when you feel most alert and schedule your demanding tasks during that time. Use your lower energy periods for routine or less challenging tasks like, say, cleaning out your email inbox. And then adjust your schedule to fit these rhythms instead of trying to conform to some other generic schedule you might have found. And wellness isn't a separate task. It's the foundation that supports everything else you want to accomplish. When you're feeling good, you work well. That's just how it goes. And so remember, college life can feel overwhelming, but it's important to keep your perspective on what really needs your attention right now. Not everything needs to happen in this very moment right now. It may all have to get done. Not everything has to be done immediately. So prioritization is key. Some tasks are urgent and others can wait. So give yourself permission to focus on what is most important at that moment without guilt. A good metaphor here is to know what balls are plastic and what balls are glass when you're juggling everything in the air. And this highlights that some responsibilities are fragile and must be handled carefully. Those are your glass balls. Others are less critical and can bounce back if you drop them. Those are your plastic balls. So your glass balls could be things like your final exam, your major papers, your personal health, and anything involving kids if you have kids in your life. Your plastic balls might be things like your social plans, some emails, and less urgent tasks. Does that errand need to get run today or could it be, next week? Aim to keep your focus on the glass balls and let the plastic balls slide when you need some extra time. And then rejigger based on what is most important at that moment in your life. Life and school aren't static. You will need to learn to be flexible. So regularly reassess your priorities because deadlines shift. A professor might move a paper deadline a week. That gives you more time to breathe. And it's okay to rearrange your schedule and goals to fit what matters most in the moment. Once you set a goal, it doesn't have to stay there. You can change things up. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't hesitate to reach out when things feel overwhelming. Professors can often offer extensions, accommodations, or advice, particularly if you communicate with them early and honestly. Campus also has academic advisors, counselors, and support services that are here to support your success. I'll get to that in a minute. Asking for help is a sign of strength and not weakness because you're recognizing where your abilities are and where you need an extra boost. And if you're working, your work may have some extra options. Sometimes your assignments in the office can be modified, different format. Do you have to go into the office or can you work from home and work things out that way? And group work and peer study can lighten the load because then not everything is on you. So again, check your syllabi and the course policies because there may be flexibility you haven't considered. And remember, managing college is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So take care of yourself and keep perspective because there's always a way to move forward. And as I mentioned, asking for help, there are so many support services on campus and they are here for you. Use them if you need them. They're not just random offices. They are literally here for you. So first is academic advising, and this can help you navigate the university and your program of study, and this keeps you on track towards graduation. They have this app called Navigate. You will get notifications through this. Do check your spam though. And you can also go directly to faculty, but you'll get updates through this on, how you're progressing through your time at the university. The Office of Student Success is designed to help you succeed while you're here. They are in charge of our loaner laptop program, where each semester you can sign up online for a loaner laptop. A hold charge will be placed on your account and it will stay there until you return the laptop. But if you need a laptop, go through Student Success. They also house our tutoring program in Upswing, which is an online tutoring system. And then there's also the Writing Center. This is run out of the English department in Building 71, and they can help you work through writing those papers. And we have more information about them at the reference desk and at the library. The Accessibility Resource Center are for those who need accommodations or other support during their time at the university. Their services are confidential, but you will need to submit paperwork, and this might include some doctor's notes. So if you need work with the Accessibility Resource Center, start early. You want to get those accommodations as early in the semester as you can. There's also the Counseling Center, and they are here to support your mental health and wellness. They offer appointments, and they also offer a lot of apps that you could use. Again, they are confidential. And needing help for your mental health is perfectly normal. Please use their services. It is what they are here for. Financial aid covers tuitions, loans, grants, and scholarships. So essentially, if it's money related, you want to go to financial aid. There is also the Office of Information Technology, and they are here for all of the tech stuff. So if you're having issues with your email, your passwords, if you need help with some software, they have a help desk in Building 71, or you can contact them online. Career services, it's not just for those who are graduating from the university soon. This is for anyone who might be looking for an internship or a job. Handshake is the main platform for jobs and internships that you can just explore what's there. And this office also helps with finding those positions and internships off campus. And they can also do prep help for things like resume reviews and interview practice. And a great thing about career services is the alumni connections. One of the biggest things about going to college is the access to this alumni network. There are Firebirds everywhere, so make use of it because Firebirds help fellow Firebirds. There's the Office of Public Safety. They are a part of the DC Police Force. They have the Live Safe app, which gives you updates on notifications on, building closures, traffic issues, any safety issues that might happen on campus. So download this. It's better safe than sorry. And if you see something, say something. They are here to help. Then there is student life. They are literally the life of campus. This is where all of the student groups are, Greek life. It's all run through here. The fun events that happen on campus. Welcome week that's coming up in just a few weeks. They are here for that. So find the group that works for you or go ahead and start your own. They're always looking for more and check on their calendar. There's always fun stuff going on. And finally, the library. We are the helpful place. We have lots of stuff. Literally, if it's information related, we're here to connect you to it. We also offer in-person support as well as support online over the phone and through appointments. We have webinars like the one you're attending today and all of the ones we have coming up in the fall. And we have a newsletter you can sign up for that goes out. But we also just love to see you. So if you just want to stop by, grab a table and get work done, we are happy to see Firebirds in the library. And as we wrap up, I want to note a few final things. Read your email. That's where it all goes. Check your spam. Some things do show up in there, but this means your UDC email. You can set this up to auto forward to your personal email if you need it, but so much comes to you through your email. Make sure you are paying attention to it. And yes, you have to do the assigned reading. Sorry, there is no shortcut for this. It's how you learn, but you can also find audio versions for many things if you prefer having someone talk to you in your ears instead of reading it on the page. But yes, you have to do the reading. And finally, if you don't know, just ask. No one knows how to do college the first time, and there are people here to help, including us friendly librarians. We are here to help you. So I hope you found this session helpful. The recording will be posted later today and emailed to you, and I'm happy to take any questions. All right, not seeing anything come in. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and give time for unrecorded questions.